Mr. Gorman,
Motion to approve?
you're taping the meeting?
As
It was
always.
put in place 5 minutes before the beginning of the meeting?
No, it was sent to you.
No, he's saying
Early.
it had to be set up 5 minutes before, but
Oh.
they've started early.
You started early.
We started 3 minutes early, but
Okay.
I need a motion
Does
to
it say
approve
5
the minutes
minutes?
as written in a second. All in favor?
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. I'm gonna skip, no, I'm not gonna skip over this one. We've had a couple of discussions of late, and I'm just throwing this out again, respective to our ability to initiate restrictions or new rules throughout the association. I think you all heard on the news, there was kind of a disturbing thing where a person was killed riding an electric bike. I think there was actually 2 similar instances. Four in the week. Yeah. I know, and I attended a Jefferson Corners board meeting that they had county officials here, police, and they got into it a little bit. They are kind of in a quandary when it comes to electric bikes. I think that the technology's gotten to the point where an electric bike and a motorcycle are almost the same animal. But you know, if it's a gas-powered motorbike, it requires a tag, but an electric bike doesn't. As part of that discussion, brought up the whole issue respective to golf carts and their use on our property and on the municipal streets here. They are clearly unlawful to be used on the municipal streets. It becomes a question of can we adopt a resolution that restricts their use within the plat of Heritage Ridge North. Again, I'm bringing that up just because it's something that I think at some point we're really going to need to address. I have not gotten a response to a correspondence I had with our attorneys regarding how far reaching we can adopt resolutions at the board level. So anyhow, just wanted to bring that to people's attention. I think we've talked about it in the past. Okay.
I've seen at least one golf cart in the area that has a license plate.
You can have,
Yeah.
you can get,
Yeah.
it needs to be equipped properly. Actually, the term that the state uses is a low-speed vehicle. And they're required lights, signals, seat belts. You know, so they have to have a minimum speed. You can't drive one on a road that speed limit exceeds 35 miles an hour. So there, you know, like I said, I think the state of Florida is kind of at a crossroads as far as some of this stuff. You know, but I think as the fatalities of it were
There's money to be made.
But he also said, or she said, that they said the issue they have with the electric bike is it's really nothing that they could pull them over for. It's up to having the legislature pass something. And he said that's the quandary they're in, as you said, the legislature hasn't done anything. And he said once they do it, then yeah, we'll pull them all over, but we can't really do it right now with electric bikes.
Okay.
so is there a general consensus that if the lawyer says we can do a resolution that we should, just from this group?
Yeah.
Show of hands, do you think we should try and restrict them if we're able to?
Yes.
Law already restricts them if they're not street legal.
Well, the law doesn't restrict the bikes.
But that's a
So-
whole nother beast.
No,
I don't know.
but we should still, you know, emphasize that, and let people know that the carts are illegal and that the bikes are discouraged, just to protect our own liability, not that it's really our liability. So we'll hear from the lawyer and see what he says. And if he
Like I
says,
said, I actually sent him an email last week and I haven't got a response. My biggest thing, quite honestly, isn't so much the bikes, the e-bikes, it's the golf carts. And when I say the golf carts, my biggest issue with that is and I think you've heard me tell the story, it's children on the golf carts kind of dangling off the back.
Yes.
And you can be driving around in Paul's expedition, you're required to put a kid in a safety seat, but you're driving a golf cart and there's no requirement for that kind of child protection. And to me, there's something wrong with that, and it's not what you're gonna hit, it's what's gonna hit you.
If you want it road ready, you have real.
Yeah,
seatbelts and
I was thinking that,
signals.
like you said, I don't see them signaling.
Yeah,
There's one in Georgetown that's legal, the other one isn't.
yeah, there's a few legal ones, that's not the issue, okay?
Well, they're legal or not, if they're stupid, they're stupid. If they're gonna have their kids hanging off the back, they're gonna have their kids hanging off the back.
And the
It's their
dogs.
liability.
And the dogs too.
My old neighborhood, we went through this too, where we had to have, they actually wanted to make it a golf cart community, and I think most people that live around here assume because we live on a golf course, that this is a golf course community. I mean, we can put it out there that it's not, that they have to abide by the laws, and the laws are, and put it out there before we start adopting all kinds of resolutions and stuff. Maybe the people aren't aware, they just assume
I get that.
because you live on a golf course that I can drive around in my golf cart.
I think Georgetown has a parking space for golf carts.
Keep in mind,
There's a little lane in some of the lanes.
keep in mind, by the way, that here at Heritage Ridge North, or Heritage Ridge Golf Course, if you own a golf cart, you can't use it while you're playing.
I know.
Yeah.
So
But
that
those
kind of
people-
speaks volumes for whether or not
For golf community, yeah.
the golf community is saying.
I think first thing we should do is
Yeah.
re-educate our public here, re-educate our people, maybe
Yeah.
that, I mean, if I didn't come from another neighborhood where we had this happen, a lot of people move in, they just assume, so maybe putting something on our website and re-educating everybody on the Florida law and the restrictions and common sense and putting it out there before we start.
You should put that
Pushing.
whole thing on. You should put that whole thing on the website.
Yeah, we can do all that. I guess what I'm looking at now is, if the board is interested, that we can move forward through our attorneys to maybe have some sort of a resolution that we could vote on to take into consideration the issue of it. That I guess is what I'm getting at, so that we can adopt a formal, rule or restriction, however you wanna call it.
You think you can restrict the county road? You think this association can restrict what goes on the county road?
That's a part of my question with him.
I don't think they can do that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't
because
think, I don't think it's our business to regulate what, people, what they do with their children.
That may be the answer,
or-
Paul.
That's the sheriff's department job, we're not the sheriffs.
That may be
We're
the
not-
answer.
We're not the police.
Well, on the other hand, though, if we have a restriction that they have to, they can't use it on our common area.
That's
which I mean,
different.
that's a different
You can't take it
issue.
into the pool area or something.
Well, that's pretty
The
much
other thing, though, is that people, who live in Georgetown, which is a private community, their roads are private, that would be restricting them from using it
They
there.
put it there.
Okay, so again, I'm bringing up something that, to move forward with the attorneys to see whether or not there's something, and if there's something, what is it that we could do? Okay? All right, I just, kind of parting shot. Okay, moving on. There is an issue in, I'm gonna pass this around, people can look at it quick, and I'm gonna kind of review it as I pass it on. I've got some pictures, whatever. There's been a homeowner who, I think they don't live in Franklin Wood. They inherited the house or something of that nature. The house is been in disrepair, for a while. They've communicated with the homeowner. I have communicated with the homeowner, and requested that they make the repairs to the exterior. The pictures I'm showing you are kind of evident of the condition of the house. Leadership in Franklin contacted us last month or not too long ago and inquired whether or not what the process would be to require them, and by that I mean fine them for their failure to do the necessary work to the exterior of their house. Franklin Woods sent them the homeowner a letter basically addressed the issue with them. Basically is informed them that they're coming today to us, to pass a motion to require them to make repairs to the exterior of the house by 30th of April. And there's only 30 days in April. And if they didn't, then they would be subject to a fine of up to $100 per day, or no, actually, I think it was written $100 per day until they did upgrade the house. Yeah, and then 10,000 is the maximum.
I think he felt it already, he's cleaned the driveway already.
Yeah, it's my understanding that the homeowner has started, that the letter did
I'm sorry.
motivate them, but, you know, starting and finishing are two different things. So it's my understanding, and Ginny, correct me if I'm not stating this the way you'd like, that what we want to have on what we have on the table now is a motion to find the homeowner out whatever address it is. $100 a day, up to the $10,000 maximum, until they make the improvements as outlined in their letter to the exterior of the house. Close enough.
In accordance with, I haven't seen the letter.
Okay.
So was that a motion?
I'm pointing out, I want somebody to make that motion.
I'll make a motion.
John made the motion
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. I didn't know that.
Any
Motion
seconds?
for what?
to fine
To fine, okay.
the homeowner
Okay.
$100 a day, beginning on the date in the letter, or day after the date in the
I'm gonna
letter,
need a copy of this.
okay?
Mhm.
Until the outlined repairs are made to the house,
Okay.
okay?
Mhm.
And who's gonna be checking on?
Well,
on a daily basis?
who made the motion? Who made the motion?
John,
John made the motion.
Okay.
do we have a second?
Carolyn seconded it.
I'm sorry, who seconded it?
Carolyn.
Yes.
So we vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried unanimously.
Who's gonna be, I still wanna know who's gonna be checking on a daily basis to see when they actually make, is there somebody gonna be out there every day checking?
We will monitor it.
You're right, okay.
Yeah, and again, it's my understanding that the homeowner has begun to do some improvements, which is obviously a good thing. Because to date, the letters that we've sent,
You know what that is?
Been totally ignored.
If the homeowner's proceeding with some repairs, are we gonna still find him every day while he's
If
doing
they're trying,
repairs?
No, he's got,
I think we can address that when we get to it.
there's a deadline in the letter to complete the repairs, so we don't have to check every day. All we have to do is check at the deadline and see.
To what extent does the repairs have to be done?
All,
The outside.
all of them.
Okay?
That's what the letter says.
Next time you send a letter, I suggest you do certified return receipt, because
did
that's
that.
generally.
And check the date that we give,
We did.
9th
Oh,
and
you okay,
31st.
yeah.
We did that. We sent
Did you get the green
certified.
card back?
Yes, Aunt Sandy does.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. Then they got the letter.
Yes.
But they didn't get this letter yet. This letter hasn't been sent yet.
No, that's been sent.
March 13th.
That was the motivation for them to start doing work.
Okay. Will you be able to email me a copy of that? I'm gonna need it for the,
Copy of
the
what?
letter, the
Sure.
minutes. Okay? All right.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay. All right, moving on. I should have done this earlier. My understanding is, correct me here, Andy, who's been the representative from Bunker Hill for a number of years, since before I've been on the board, is stepping away.
That's, that's what everybody says to me. I've never really mentioned that, or said that I wanted to. I had heard from my president there,
Okay,
Neil, that there was another board member, or another person from the community wanted.
Carolyn.
Yeah, wanted to come on, and I said, well, that's good. And then he asked me the same thing. I said, well, if I have to, I will if there's no room, but not necessarily.
all right, I'm gonna talk to Neil then.
Yeah.
Just to make sure we're all on the same page here.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I was under that impression that you were stepping down.
Yeah, well, that's what a number of people have said that to
Okay.
me, and I never really mentioned it. I'm surprised everybody knows about it.
We'd like you to step.
Yeah.
He asked me on the way in, I said, I
But
don't hear anything.
you haven't had your annual meeting yet.
No, tomorrow, day after tomorrow.
So. I'm
That may
talking
be part of
Neil.
this confusion
Yeah.
because I,
Yeah, well, I'll see, I mean,
you know, I
there's not people lined up to do this job.
exactly. And I had, I mean, I know Neil knew, and I knew everybody knew that the term needed to be renewed, if you
Yeah.
will. And that was the extent to which, and then I had a conversation with Carolyn, and that's why I thought it had played out.
Well,
And
we'll
it-
see, you know?
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
fine. Okay.
I mean, if there's room for two, it's two. And my understanding was if Carolyn comes, I have to leave, or someone had to leave, or we're gonna get voted out.
I wouldn't want to look at it like that, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, no, that's the impression that I had.
Okay.
You know, I'm thinking, why would they wanna get rid of somebody that's willing to do this?
Right?
You know?
Okay.
Really?
Right.
Right, all right.
Well, we'll see
Yeah.
this through.
Well, day after tomorrow, we'll find, hopefully
Okay.
it'll be a little clarity.
Along that same line, Kevin McDonough, who has represented Williamsburg, is stepping down, and having talked to the president, Bob Boutte from Williamsburg, they have not had anybody looking to take that role.
I don't want it.
You don't wanna move, you wanna move to Williamsburg?
No.
And so at this moment, Williamsburg does not have a representative, and I told Bob that I would do whatever I could do to help him,
Yeah.
but that's where they are. Charleston on the Green, Mike Stephanie, I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, he had open heart surgery last fall, and he is still back in Erie, Pennsylvania. He's doing well, by the way. Actually, he's doing well enough that his wife, Cheryl, is in town.
Right.
So I'm assuming that means he's reasonably okay. He would be here today. This isn't about his term. There's been some turmoil, I don't know what to use the term turmoil. There's been some changes to the board in Charleston on the Green, and that's why they don't have a representative here today. Just, that's informational. I don't know really what's going on there.
Which four villages have a director expired? No.
Williamsburg, Bunker Hill.
So Bunker Hill's still a question. Williamsburg is not gonna have anybody.
No, but they're mine.
Yeah.
Right now, they don't have any.
So who are the other two?
What do you mean?
There was mine.
Weren't there four
No one wants to do it.
villages that the director was, the term was up?
You're asking me the question about the last one.
Yeah. All right, well,
It was Bunker Hill, Williamsburg,
Brandywine was up.
Brandywine, and we sent letters out to everybody in Brandywine. We got one candidate.
By default.
Yes.
So-
No, that's you.
So you're Brandywine still.
Still.
And who's the fourth one?
The letters went out to the appropriate people.
Oh, like Charleston.
No, it was York, no, was it Yorktown?
No, it was us.
Was it you?
Yeah, no one wants to do it. I asked them, we had our meeting. on
Okay,
January
that's it
22nd.
then, that's Jefferson.
Jefferson.
That's it.
They all just took your head in the same.
So it's still you with Jefferson?
Me.
Okay.
Okay,
That's all we need.
all right.
Okay.
Due to lack of interest.
So we okay with that now?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let me get two of them. I'm gonna take this one.
Projects.
I'm just gonna jump ahead, just different things. A few things that are on the agenda right now. You probably saw coming in here today, we're finishing the project on Heritage Boulevard here, we're replacing the landscaping. By the end of the week, that should be completed. We're complete with the exception of Georgetown, where they built a new shed house with the metal roofs. Once we get all the roofs on, we're gonna have them painted. So hopefully they're gonna look a lot better than they have. At the pool pavilion, I've had conversation with our security company, Bartlett Security. Our system has become antiquated, and they're recommending that we update it. It would have a much more distinctive video. It also has audio capability. Talking to them, what the audio capability would do is if the security surveillance system saw an intruder or somebody that was there after hours, that person that's monitoring it would have the ability to use the intercom and say, hey, you shouldn't be here. If you don't get out, the police are being called. So they seem real high on it. Apparently the Oaks just had to put in across the street, and I haven't called anybody, but from what they said, they've been very pleased with it. So just as far as what's going to happen over the next few months, that's kind of on the agenda. You know, we were talking earlier with some of this just about the irrigation system, and it's just an ongoing
Band-aid after Band-aid after Band-aid.
Yeah. So anyhow, I think the only good news is that we've spent some money on some of the pumps, if you will, the expensive parts, but you know, the sprinkler heads in the ground and the piping that's in the ground is 35, 40 years old. Kind of, we'll see what happens going forward. Okay. Really isn't any other significant major improvements, and hopefully we're going to be able to keep it that way until we satisfy the loan, which will be done at the end of next year. Okay. Anybody got any questions or things about what the community looks like?
I wanted to find out what's going on across the street from me, how soon they're gonna be done with that project, because I'm getting a lot of people are disgusted with all the dust and stuff.
First of all, the dust should be,
It's
I mean,
horrible.
right now they're mulching. Those trucks that have been coming in and out today are coming in empty and leaving with the mulch
Yes.
they're creating from the
But even before
vegetation
that,
they
when they
cut
were
down.
taking the trees down.
No, I get
was
it.
Horrible.
Well, it's the big trees being chipped that's making the dust.
Well,
Well, they were,
even
no,
when
they
were
were
going
there.
down.
A lot of heavy
No,
equipment.
we're
Yeah.
cutting them and all that, that's,
Yeah.
that phase.
But they're not done digging. My understanding
Yeah,
from
they're
my
gonna be there a while.
conversations, the actual ponds that they're building are gonna be actually below sea level. They're
Really?
gonna be deep. Okay, and they're deeper because there's less land area, so there's less surface area, okay? To answer your question, I was told they would be done by next fall.
Next fall.
Next fall. Things like this don't happen in a week.
There's a lot of work there.
But I mean, is it gonna be a daily occurrence that all this dust is gonna be?
I think at some point there won't be the dust. I think once they do the excavation, they're gonna be doing concrete work, because they're gonna be building weirs and runoffs, okay?
Yeah.
You know, again, I've talked to you and talked to Sandy. One of the things is the idea that they're looking for our involvement,
Yeah,
not happening.
yeah.
You know, they think they've
So
done
that's
their.
a separate thing, it's in the county.
It's the county.
Yeah, because I was thinking that, you know, maybe they could bring in those big, water trucks
They should. Yeah.
and spray it so that the dust isn't coming to
I have
everybody's
seen
house.
one go in there, Janine. It
You
was
have?
At one time, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen
This was
that.
last week, it was only once. but,
Yeah, I mean, it was awful.
And by the way, keep in mind, one of the things that is going to create a delay is gonna be, we're gonna get into summer season, and we're gonna get into the rainy season, so you may not have dust, but you may not have any work done either.
Yeah, so maybe.
So-
I looked at.
Just want you to,
Yeah,
you know, our hands are,
yeah.
They have to de-water in it, don't they? They have to de-water in it, don't they? They're gonna have pumps running. So remember the noise that came from the pumps?
No, it's different, it's gonna be different.
yeah, anybody, well,
Say again?
They're
there's
gonna
some
take the
similarity.
canal, they're gonna take the existing canal and
No,
bring it
I'm
all
saying,
back.
when
Yeah,
they
but
start
when they
digging,
build
have
the
to pump the water
weirs,
out.
it's a concrete dam, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay, you can actually see it if you're looking at the one
Oh, like
south
they did the
of
other
us.
one. That's what
If you look
Mallon
over,
did, right.
there's probably a 30-foot long strip, and that's concrete.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's a control structure.
Mhm.
So what they're gonna take is with the canal's gonna just kind of continue as it always is, but they're gonna put a T into it. And then coming in, coming out, okay?
Yeah.
So they wanna redirect the water in there and control the water levels by doing that.
And this is all for flooding, potential
No,
flooding?
no, it's really, the principal reason for doing it is for environmental reasons. They create the catch basins, the ponds, to retain the water, to let the contaminants in the water, and by contaminants, they're talking fertilizers, okay? And let it dissipate before it goes back into the canal. And the whole principle there is that by the time the canal gets to the Manatee Pocket, there's very little nutrients in the water and they don't have an algae bloom. There is some benefits as far as flood control, but that's a secondary issue, okay?
But once they start digging, they're gonna be digging in mud and water, and they're gonna pump that water out of the hole as they dig the hole. So you're gonna hear,
There is gonna be
you may lose
some
the
major
dust.
pumping though.
You're gonna have pumping that's
noise,
going, probably gonna be going on day and night.
Day and night?
Probably. You can't pump it out. You can't pump a hole out.
That process was only about a couple of weeks though.
Hopefully, yeah. Depending on how-
We're talking about Quincy, when they did the culvert where the cart path was put in, they're gonna have to do something very similar, okay?
And he's told, we met with the guy from Scott.
Yep.
And he said they're using a newer generation of pumps than they used, it was a different contractor that did the one I did in Quincy. So they're using more modern pumps, and they're gonna do some sound abatement and things around the pumps so you don't hear them as much. But that is gonna be happening, and you know, you're gonna hear them. We're all gonna hear them. That as a world.
Diesel, I'm sure you will.
I think they've gotta be diesel. So.
Okay.
Maybe I'll call the county about the dust then, because it's really bad. We have to keep our garage doors down because, I mean, I just went like this on my table and my hand was black from, I mean, it just penetrates your house. It's terrible, terrible.
I can make some phone calls. We can talk to people that
Yeah,
talk
I
to
mean,
us.
if they could just wet it down or something so it doesn't
Sure.
fly like that. I mean,
Yep.
it's awful.
Okay.
Or if we get some rain.
Yeah, if
You know-
it rained, it would be helpful
You only
too.
want to remember Sands I could go find?
Oh, yeah, Marion Sands would get it working, I'll tell you, yeah. Well, that's a thought. I do know a couple of people.
It's gotta be worse for them.
Yeah. Depends on the way the wind's blowing too. Anyway.
Okay. Okay, moving along. Election of officers. There's gonna be changes. Right now we have 4 positions of people willing to accept the role. I'm willing to continue on as the treasurer of the association. Carol Ann's willing to carry on as the secretary of the association. Rich Lear is willing to accept the responsibilities of the vice president of the association.
Which year?
Rich Lear, that guy there. And Joe LaJudas is going to assume the role of the president of the association. Is there anybody else interested in any one of the positions?
Don't all do it at once.
Come on, Andy.
No, I'm fighting for my life on Bunker Hill.
Let's start another room.
Yeah.
Where is Andy,
All right.
on the board?
So I can assume the nomination process is closed?
Yes.
Okay, having said that, I'm willing to accept the nomination as the treasurer. All in favor of my taking that job?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Joanne.
Huh? I'm sorry, go ahead. Somebody can make a motion.
Motion to accept Matt's.
All right, second? Second.
Who seconded?
Second. Andy?
Andy.
All in favor again? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Okay.
Motion to accept Richie as vice president.
You can do that. All right, Paul's nominating Rich as vice president. Any second?
Second.
Donna?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to Carol Ann.
Motion to accept, definitely accept Carolyn.
Yeah, I second that.
Okay.
Got it?
And you turned and forth it too.
Yeah, right. I said,
Janine, okay.
Janine.
Is that a thank you?
Yeah.
That's a thank you.
All right. Okay,
Then again,
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. And then finally, get Joe before he runs out.
Yeah,
Changes his mind.
yeah,
A
really.
motion
to
to,
accept
Yeah.
for Joe,
Second.
okay?
I'm not even sure you're a director.
Yeah.
He has a case or two.
Okay. That's
All in
unanimous.
favor? Aye. Any opposed? You still lose.
Crazy guy.
More
All right.
things to do.
That's it.
Thank you, everybody who did step up. You know, one of the last things about it is, and I want to point this out, I do think turnover is a necessity. I think that have new blood is important, you know. New blood, new ideas, new energy. It is a good thing. Tomorrow night at the annual meeting, I'm gonna talk about, to anybody who's there, about the need for involvement from the community. There's plenty of room for things for people to do. And again, it's that whole thing, it should never be viewed as a lifetime commitment. You know, if you're willing to put 4 or 5 years in, you've done your time. And you should feel very good about yourself that you put your 4 or 5 in and not feel guilty that you're saying, I've had enough. So,
So it's a 4 or 5 year sentence, I mean.
however you want to look at it.
Sentence, yeah.
It all depends on your behavior.
Okay, anybody have anything?
The
Okay,
meeting tomorrow, it's at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Oh.
at the firehouse.
6 p.m. I thought I saw 5 p.m. on somebody.
I got it right here.
Okay, that being said, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Andy, second?
Second.
Donna, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Section of the neighborhood wants to do.
2:30, you got that.
Yeah.